So we are now firmly buried into Generation Z. A lot of people think that the kids who are coming up now, the SJWs, the far leftists that are, and well, there really aren't a whole lot of young right-wingers anymore, but a lot of people think that they're all millennials. But that's not true. The millennials were actually born somewhere in general vicinity of between like 1981 and 2 to somewhere in the mid-90s. So what we're dealing with now is Generation Z, but I personally like to call them Generation Me. And I call them that because I have never in my life seen a generation that is so egocentric, so self-focused on just me. Me. It's all about me, mine, me. I mean, they're worse than the boomers as far as me and mine goes. And I mean, it's totally flipped around anymore. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it used to be the old people. The people of my generation, the people, me and older, that would be pointing to kids and saying, now you can't say that, don't say that, and don't do this thing. That's bad. It's too much fun. You can't have that much fun. You can't do that. Oh, no sex before marriage. Don't do that. Oh, no, you can't say those words. Used to be the old people doing that. Now it's these damn kids. They're the ones saying that nobody can have any fun. You can't say that. Why? Because it hurts my feelings. Me. And I'm the one who's important here. Me. If you hurt my feelings, then that's what everything is about, is me. And you can't say it because me. I've never seen anything. And this is where it just goes berserk at this point. Here's an article from the Pluralist. Activist slams curing genetic disease as a threat to disabled identity. It's actually genocide. A prominent disabilities activist spoke against the use of genetic editing to eliminate diseases from birth because it would be tantamount to a genocide against the culture of the disabled. Now, first of all, I didn't know that that disabled people were a gene. I didn't know they were a race. The disabled race, is that what we're talking about here? The race of disabled people out there? But it continues. Alice Wong, who served on President Barack Obama's National Council on Disabilities, is the founder of the Disabilities Visibility Project. In a December 19th episode of Flash Forward, a podcast that considers the social repercussions of hypothetical future developments, Wong discussed the possibility of human embryo gene editing to reaching a point at which certain disabilities can be treated at or before birth and thus eradicated. Pardon me. It's a real news story now. We're talking about removal of diseases, she said. That's forever. That's a change, a modification that will be passed on to future generations. So that's actually genocide. It's a form of eugenics where certain lived experiences are seen as undesirable and unimaginable. Wong, who has spinal muscular atrophy, relies on machine ventilation. My life is better thanks to the medical advancements, she said. But when it comes to CRISPR, the gene editing tool that has recently been used for the first time on human babies to prevent HIV transmission, Wong is worried that the ethical implications have not been fully considered. Ethical implications of babies not being born with HIV. Well, now let's wait a minute. Wait, hold up. Okay, so you're talking about babies that aren't born with HIV and then die just in a few years. Now, let's not be hasty here, because that might not be ethical. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. What? A lot of this conversation around CRISPR is about the removal of suffering and pain and disease, she said. Whenever I hear stuff like that, they're talking about me, people of my community. Her concern is with doctors having the authority to decide what's a life worth living by curing conditions which they consider to be disabilities. That, according to Wong, would constitute ableism, pure and simple. Oh my God, ableism! For people who want this, okay, so let me ask you this. If somebody is born, if this is a culture, okay, if disability is a culture now, and you're born perfectly physically healthy, but then something happens and you have your legs amputated and now you are disabled. Is that cultural appropriation? Did you just appropriate the disabled people's culture? How dare you? How dare you get in an accident and become disabled because you're appropriating their culture? Jesus Christ, this is so convoluted. For people who want to do this to their own body, more power to you. But I do think that a preemptive alteration of genes is based on fear. Well, sort of, yeah. Preemptive genetics alterations are based on the imagination of non-disabled people of what living with a disability feels like, she said. Rebecca Coakley, who, like Juan, served on Barack Obama's National Council on Disabilities, offered a similar perspective. In a Washington Post op-ed last year, she argued that disabled people are a community unto themselves and that eliminating their condition means erasing the potential future of their culture. She asked, where is the line between what society perceives to be a horrible genetic mutation and someone's culture? Are you kidding me? Is that for real? Somebody actually said those words. Oh my God. This pushback against something that on its surface appears to be an absolute good, the eradication of disease, seems like a natural outgrowth of the exponential fragmentation of American culture onto identity groups usually defined by their suffering and sense of oppression. The anti-ableism movement has recently softly protested even the Women's March for its reliance on walking. So, you know what? All this work to get rid of cancer, we got to stop that. We got to stop it right now. I mean, because there are people out there and you know, that have to go and take chemotherapy for to every week for their cancer to try and get rid of it. And then they go bald and they have to go out shopping for wigs. And if we eradicate cancer and it's not there anymore, well, that takes away that culture. It takes away the cancer culture. There won't be anybody out there sitting in chairs and playing cards while they're getting their treatments, chemotherapy treatments. We can't have that. We have to retain that culture. This is such bullshit. I don't believe, this is basically a person. Remember I was saying at the beginning, me. This is basically a person that's saying that they don't care if babies are born with no legs or eyes or have to spend their whole lives in a disadvantaged, in pain, at great burden and expense to their loved ones, as long as they have someone to talk to, as long as I have someone to talk to, because you want to talk about prejudice, because I can't possibly socialize with people who aren't disabled. I can't do that. So I have to have disabled people all around me all the time so that I can have someone to talk to, because fuck you abled people, right? We're all evil because we didn't. This is such horseshit. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. The reason people determine whether or not it's good or bad to have a disease is because most people with diseases don't want them. They're miserable. They're in pain. They don't like them. I mean, seriously, gonna go out and ask somebody with Lou Gehrig's disease, hey, would you rather not have that? And better yet, would you rather have never had that? I mean, are you a person, this person here, if you were born and you didn't have any physical disabilities whatsoever, would you now be wishing to be disabled so that you could be part of disabled culture? No, I don't think you would. I don't think you'd be doing that. But you are so goddamn selfish that you want people in the future to continue to be disabled and in pain and suffering just so you can have someone to relate to. You would think that you would want the opposite of that. You would think that you would want that culture gone. If it is a culture, it's not, but you would think that you'd want it gone so that nobody would ever have to deal with that anymore, that people wouldn't have to suffer and have diseases. But here you are sitting there going, well, I won't have anybody to talk to if there's no more disabled people. So therefore, people should suffer so I can have somebody to talk to. Get over yourself.